This is Aaron Wallace from Balance Your Fitness. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about shoulder and elbow pain. I know that a lot of you are working quite a bit from virtual offices, a little more desk work where you're sitting down quite a bit. And one of the most common problems that I see is quite a bit of shoulder and elbow pain. So what we're going to be going and working on today is being able to go and help understand how we can go and get some of this shoulder and elbow pain, and how we can be able to go and do some small techniques to be able to go and relieve it. So one of the things that's sort of a issue with understanding shoulder and elbow pain is a lot of times whenever we go into either some setting to be able to go and help reduce this pain or try various different therapies. A lot of times, again, where you're getting the pain, whether it's the inside of the elbow or maybe the outside of the elbow here, is either inside here or outside here, or perhaps if you're getting shoulder pain in the top of the shoulder or the back of the shoulder or front. There's a lot of different places where you can get pain when it comes to these areas, depending on what's common. But where you're getting the pain is not where the root cause or what's causing your discomfort. So one of my favorite textbooks to help explain some of this is a book called Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers. And this is developed by Thomas Myers is a rolfer who developed a specific learning guide, I guess would be the best way to describe it, of how our body moves in relationship to our muscles and fascia. So what the short version of explaining what this book is, it's about understanding the basic movements that we do on a daily basis, whether that's extending or flexing or using our arm motions or twisting. All of them require force to be transmitted all the way throughout our body, not just in our muscles, but also in our connective tissue. So when you talk about our connective tissue, we think of what's called our fascia. It's really, really important to understand. Fascia is the sort of white-colored sort of sheath-like covering that goes around all muscles, actually goes around all your organs and all your tissue. And a lot of times when we're sort of taught a little bit in some of the very basic anatomy classes is that this fascia isn't quite all that important. It doesn't seem to go and have a huge role, or at least taught to have a huge role when we're doing some of the basics of anatomy and physiology as you are learning about this stuff. But fascia actually does transmit force. And it actually allows for, if we have issues with our fascia, it will actually go and prevent the proper movement of all of our various joints up and down the various different movements that we do. So in this book, what we want to, in this book, we talk about a lot of times when it comes to elbow pain is lines of tension that are created by movements of the arm. So when we think of, for example, lateral elbow pain, so this is common in both lateral and medial elbow pain are common with people who sit at a desk, who also do sports like golf or tennis. One of the things that you'll see is that in one of the demonstrations of the book is a line of tension that goes from the hands through the lateral epicondyle, or the lateral part of your elbow, runs around and underneath the bottom side of the arm, up through the shoulder and up into the shoulder, and also down the opposite side of your back, down to your hip and down your opposite leg. So you can have tension at any one of these points in this chain. So you could have tension or issues with the fascia or musculature anywhere around this chain. So if you have problems with the part of the elbow, you could have tension in your thumb, near your wrist and your forearm muscles, in your triceps, in your lats, even in your glutes, that can go and affect how well your elbow is functioning. Right. So any of the tension along this line alters the amount of force or how the force is transmitted whenever we do a movement, whether it's even just bending and extending our elbows, whether it's reaching up to grab something up high, or any different sort of sport-specific movement like swinging a golf club or a tennis racket. So we have to be able to realize that where you're getting the pain is not necessarily where you're actually where the pain is being caused. So you can get issues with the elbow anywhere along this line. And I'm going to show a couple of different options for being able to relieve some tension in this line as well. The same thing goes for the shoulder. So whenever we raise our arm up or bring our arm down, there's a whole host of various different muscles and fascia that have to contract and relax in order to be able to go and allow for that basic shoulder movement. So for example, one of the most common issues that we get when it comes to shoulder pain is usually a pain and discomfort in what's called the acromioclavicular joint, which is basically right about at the outside bottom of the top of the shoulder here, right? So what'll happen is we get a compression here when we have some distortions in posture, right? So basically every time we try to raise our arm, our humerus and the ball and socket joint will come up and just kind of crunch against that edge of your clavicle and shoulder blade, and that causes some pain and discomfort. So what happens a lot of times is that we'll get tension in certain muscles, your lats, your ribs, your intercostal muscles, your serratus muscles, and alterations in other different areas that will cause this shoulder to get kind of pulled down a little bit. So this is common when if you're maybe if you're right-handed, you throw or use a tennis racket mainly with your right hand. Your obliques and the right-handedness pattern issues will go and pull that right shoulder down, which makes it more of an issue to try to end up being compressed whenever you go and try to raise that arm up. So we'll go through a couple of different options of being able to go and relieve the tension here as well. So where you're actually getting the pain, right, is not necessarily where you're getting the root cause of that pain from. So you can get pain in your shoulder and it's coming from your lats or your obliques or actually somewhere else down the line as well you can get, but also farther up down the line as well. So for example, if you're getting a lot of trapezius discomfort here, that can be caused by your lats and also can be caused by the position of your head and neck and shoulders, which also go and are altered through these various different movement patterns as shown during as shown in the Thomas Myers book. So one of the things that we have to realize again is getting out of the idea that if I've got shoulder pain, I need to work on my shoulder. If I've got elbow pain, I need to work near my elbow. This is usually a very counterproductive. It doesn't usually go and get us the results that we want. And a lot of times it can lead to more injury, not less. So when it comes to our various different manual therapies, we're going to show some different options. And it'll be very, very simple things that we can be able to go and do without a lot of equipment. I'm going to show one with a golf ball, one with our hands, and one with our foam roller. So these three ones I find to see the most commonality with issues and tightnesses and sorenesses in this area leading or at least majorly contributing to various different shoulder and elbow pain. So the first thing we're going to do is work on the thumb. So the thumb, a lot of times, again, because of the tension that we use, because we're working with our hands all the time, we can actually get a lot of tension in the fascia going up and down the thumb. So I'm going to go a little closer to the camera so you can see this. So you can actually go and work on using some gentle self-manual therapy going up and down the thumb. Now, of course, there's some basic contraindications to doing any form of manual therapy or foam rolling. So, for example, if you have issues with strokes or things of that nature, you want to be careful with any type of manual therapy. Make sure that as well that if any of these things that you're doing increase your pain, please stop. you want to make sure that you don't end up making things worse. But just to make sure that you do have a doctor's clearance before you start going and doing some of these things, just to make sure to be safe. But now that we got that over with, we're going to go and work on the thumb here. So what you want to do is you want to take your opposite thumb here, and you're going to go ahead and just have your arm rested on something. But for the camera's sake, I've got to have my arm up. So I'm going to take a gentle stroke back and forth on the part of the thumb just below the nail. So we're going to be working right in here. And work back and forth, just like this. Back and forth. And then I'm going to go and progress slowly down the arm, little back and forth strokes. So doing that only to a point where you get to about a 3 on a pain scale of 1 to 10. Nothing too crazy, nothing too hardcore. A lot of times when people do manual therapy or foam roll, we tend to do too much. We want to make sure that we go that less is more. You don't want to go and overstrain the body. Less is more. A 3 on a pain scale of 1 to 10 is all you need. So now, the second one we're going to do is for the forearm. So we're going to draw a line from your thumb side of your wrist to your outer elbow, right? And what you're going to do is a gentle manual therapy. You can use your thumb. You can also use a golf ball as well, or any other massage implement. And what you want to do is you're going to go in a gentle manual therapy back and forth. So again, no higher than a 3 on a pain scale of 1 to 10. Try to have your arm rested on a table when you do this, because again, I mean, for camera's sake, I've got to have the arm up so that way you can see it a little easier. But we're just going to go back and forth all the way to that outer elbow. Stop, repeat on the left side, and then see how your elbow and shoulder feel. So the last one we're going to do is going to work on the lats and on the shoulders. This will go and should go and help out quite a bit with issues with the neck and the shoulders. A lot of times tension in there, tension in the shoulder, in the top of the shoulder joint here, and also in the trapezius, and a lot of neck issues. So this one we're going to be using a foam roller. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that real quick. And here. So I've got my large foam roller here, and we're going to lay down long ways on the foam roller. So that way the foam roller is going right under my armpit, and I'm going to roll slowly back and forth, starting at my armpit and working my way down. So I'll do a few strokes here and then move it a little bit up and down. So make sure that your body is nice and relaxed. And now you can move a little bit more forward, shift away forward or back to try to find where you're going to find that sore spot. And progressively move the foam roller down towards the end of the ribs. So this should go and relieve the tension when the shoulders are being pulled down, and can cause a lot of discomfort in our neck and our shoulders. So any one of these can be useful, being able to go and help with neck, shoulder, and elbow discomfort. So give those a shot. If you guys have questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to be able to help with troubleshooting a little bit. And if you guys have any other further questions or have some ideas for future talks, I'd be happy to be able to go and help you out. So thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you all soon. You guys have a great and wonderful rest of your day.